Hey there. Today we're going to be building a very simple integration that uses the OfferREI Zapier system. Now, right now, as of the time of this recording, the Zapier integration is private and you have to request an invitation. So just shoot over an email to noah@offerrei.com with the email address that you have with your Zapier account if you would like access to this, and I will send you an invitation. So let's get into it. What we're going to be building is about as simple an automation as it can get. What we have here is a Google Sheet, and this Google Sheet is holding form responses from Google Forms. And when we fill out this form and hit submit, what happens is Google Forms will put the response here into the spreadsheet. And what we're going to do is set up an automation to automatically create the offer link for this property after it gets submitted. Now, this is a test case, and there's not a whole lot of practical use for this particular example, but it's a decent introduction to basic automation with Zapier. So let's get into it. What we're going to be building is going to look a little bit like this. This is a Zapier this is the Zapier process, and so we are triggering based on a new form response, and then we are taking the information from that form and we're running the create a document action with the OfferREI integration. Then we're going to look up the row on that Google Sheet based on the address that was submitted, and then update the row with the completed information. Ultimately, what this is going to look like is we can fill out this form. Let's do an example together. We give it the full address, and then we can select a template. Let's do, in this case, the owner finance offer with balloon. And these are optional, but we can put in a market value. In this case, let's put in 500,000. And repairs, let's just, for the sake of example, put in 10,000. And then hit submit. And then we're going to see that in our Google Sheet, we have the new submission immediately, and Zapier is going to run in the background here, and in a few moments, it will put the offer link here. I'll pause while we give it some time to work. Okay, so after about 20 seconds, the offer link column now has a new entry for the spreadsheet, or the downloaded document. So all we have to do then is click on this link, and it will start the download to our computer. And let's take a look at what we got. Now, just for the sake of visibility, I'm going to switch this over to light mode, because this better represents what it would look like if it were printed out on paper. But here we have our letter of intent. This represents a creative finance offer based on the numbers that I have in my account. So I'll explain what I mean about that more, but you'll notice that I didn't really ask about a lot of the things that you would think you need to calculate a creative finance offer. The form didn't mention anything about interest rates or balloon terms or anything like that. You might be wondering, well, where did that info come from? The answer is it came from my account. So if you generate an offer the traditional way using the website, and you'll know this on the left side here, this is where we can configure what goes into our offer. Let me see if I can find the exact house that I just ran. Here, this is where you can normally set up what goes into your offer. So for the cash, we have this tab, and we have the discount and an assignment fee. For the creative, in this case, the owner finance offer with balloon only works with these numbers. So it doesn't touch the multi-tier offer, but this is kind of what it pulled from on my account. So in this case, I have my interest rate set to 60%. It's amortized over 30 years. I have a 5-year balloon term, and that's what got used to put together my offer. So that's why I don't have to ask for that in the form. So let's get back to building it, and we're going to do this fresh, and I'll show you how to set up everything from the form itself to Zapier, and we'll go from there. So running a little bit on the fly here, so bear with me if I make any kinds of mistakes, but let's get into it. So what we're going to do is we need to open up a new form with Google. So forms.google.com will take you to the place where you can create your forms. Let me switch into my OfferREI account, and we're going to create a new form, and I'm going to call this OfferREI Zapier Demo V2. And first thing we're going to ask is we need to know what the address is. So in this case, we're going to pass in the full address. If you run into a situation where you only have street addresses and you need more, feel free to reach out to me, but the easy way to deal with that is to use something called a geocoder. My geocoder of choice is geocode.io. They have a great API and probably have Zapier integration, and you can just give it an address and maybe the most likely city that it's in, and it can give you back the address, city, state, and zip split up for you. So back to the form, we need the address. We need let me actually copy over. We're going to need the template that we want to use. So this is going to be a radio option for template. And basically, whatever templates you use here, you have to pull their names directly from OfferREI. So the best way to do that is to go into your account, go to templates, and pick whatever templates you want. So in this case, just to keep things fast, I'm going to copy over the multi-tier offer template, and I'd recommend copying and pasting the name exactly as it is here. So we'll go back over to our form. That'll be one of our options. Let's do a couple more. We'll do the owner finance offer with balloon, and we'll also do the cash offer. So owner finance offer with balloon, and then the cash offer. Let's grab the cash offer right here. Throw those into the form, and I can add more templates if I felt inclined, but I don't want to make this video too long. Okay, so next that's actually all we need necessarily to generate our offers, but most of you are going to want to probably change the market value as well, and maybe the repair cost. So this next one's going to be market value. That's just going to be a short answer. And then the next is going to be repairs. And that's going to be another short answer. And there we go. That's our form. So to make this work with Google Sheets, what we need to do is click over onto responses and then link to sheets. And in this case, I'm going to create another new spreadsheet. I'll call this Zapier Demo V2, OfferREI, Zapier Demo V2, and then hit create. And then what it's going to do is it's going to create a new spreadsheet for me, and it's going to give me the columns according to the sheet that I had created, or according to the form. So at this point, let's go ahead and put in a submission, because we're going to need a submitted property in order to give Zapier something to work with. So the way that I'm going to do that, there's probably a few different ways to handle this, but what I'm going to do is share I'll share the link if I can remember how. Oh, I should probably give this a name. Yeah, that's good. Send. And then I can grab the link by clicking on this little button here. I'm going to shorten it just for fun. Copy that. And I'm going to throw that into a new tab. And let's go through it. So the full address is the full address. That's including the city, state, and zip code. Let's do this address. And then let's just pick a template. I'm going to do the owner finance offer with balloon. And let's say the market value on this house is $200,000. And it needs, let's say 10,000. I did 10,000 last time. Let's do 7,500 in repairs. And then hit submit. And we should pretty much immediately get our info into the sheet. Now let's set up a Zap that can work with this information. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new column here in the sheet, and this is just for me, and I'll call this offer link. And that's where we're going to be putting our generated offer link later. So let's go over to Zapier, and we are going to create a new Zap from scratch. So go log into Zapier, go into the dashboard, and then hit create, and then Zaps. And this is going to give us an empty Zap. The first thing I like to do is name it. So I'll call this OfferREI Zapier Demo V2. And what we're going to do is first we need to pick a trigger. And the trigger in this case is going to be the form submission. You could also trigger this based on a new row being added to Google Sheets. But let's just do it through the form. So if I search form, one of the first options here is going to be Google Forms. That's what I'm looking for. The trigger event is going to be, oh, and by the way, you might have to connect your Google account at that point. So when you see this up here where it says app and that's a required field, you might have to connect your Google account in order for this to work. But I've already got mine connected, so let's set up the trigger. the trigger event is going to be on new form response, right? So that's going to run every time somebody fills out this form. Then I hit continue. Now we have to pick the form of relevance. Let's do V2 here. Hit continue. And then when I hit test trigger, it's going to look at that form response and see if it can find a recent submission. So if I hit test trigger, we should see form response A, and that represents the information that I put into the form plus a little bit of metadata like the ID and when it was sent. So let's continue with the selected record, and this is where we can actually generate our offer. So you need your invitation for OfferREI, but if you search OfferREI, you'll see if you've been invited, you'll have the action here. And then there's only one action in the OfferREI Zap integration right now, and that's just to create a document. I will probably be adding more, but so far this is the meat and potatoes of what the software does. So I select create a document, and then I hit continue. Now you're going to see a bunch of fields here. Only a couple of them really matter. The only thing you really need for this to work is the full address and the template name. Oh, and before I forget, at this point, it might prompt you to connect your OfferREI account. The way that you do that is follow the prompt here, and it's going to ask you for an API key. To get that API key, all you have to do is go back to OfferREI, click on account, and then hit the generate API key button. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and you're going to see your API key. This gets generated on the spot, and this is a one-time use, one-time visibility thing. So once you copy this over and put it into your systems, it'll be good for as long as you don't hit this button again. But once you leave this page, you won't have access to this anymore. So make sure to put it somewhere safe. That's for security reasons. So anyways, going back to Zapier, you would paste that into where it's asking for the API key and then go from there. So let's continue with this creating a document step. Hit continue. And let's start with the full address. So if I click this plus button, it's going to give me the fields that have been in the Zap so far. In this case, what I care about is the full address field. So I'm just going to click that, and now the full address feeds in. Template name, similar deal. Click on template name, and we're also going to do the market value, 200,000 in repairs, 7,500. Now, the rest of these are optional. And you can use this if you want to override, meaning ignore what's currently in your account for these options and provide them directly, right? So if you wanted to make a very complicated offering system using a special form, you could fill in all the information that you would need when it comes to the numbers using the system. But like I mentioned before, if you don't provide these, it's going to use what's in your account. So for example, let's look at this cash discount amount / percentage. Where is that going to come from if I'm making a cash offer and I don't provide it? Well, if I go back to OfferREI and I click on one of my properties, the answer is whatever is in your cash discount field here, right? So if I don't provide it, it's going to use 30%. Now, in this case, I would, let's say I wanted to change that. Well, I could just change that here. Let's say 25% instead of 30%. And just to make sure it saves, I'm going to click cash offer to generate one. That's going to make sure that it gets saved to my account. So that's how you can use your account settings. So going back to OfferREI, that is good enough for the OfferREI side of Zapier. Let's hook it up so that it actually works with the rest. So I'm going to hit continue, and it's always good to test it. So I'm going to hit test step. And if everything works correctly, we ought to get, I changed my API key and then I didn't update it. That's my fault. Let's make sure we update that API key. So I'm going to hit change. Nope, change here. And then reconnect this account. So now I can go grab my API key from OfferREI. Let's go over to accounts, generate API key. Copy that, go back over to Zapier, and I need to open up that pop-up window right here, and then hit yes, continue to OfferREI. And then now it's going to recognize that my API key is working. Continue, and then we can test it. And if this works correctly, what we should see is a link to the generated document, and that's going to be under the field download link, and then the value is the actual link to download that document. So that's working. We can hit publish. Oh, actually, nope, I don't want to publish it yet. I want to add another step. So edit the Zap. And then now we need to actually put that link back into the Google Sheet. So we're going to do two things here. We first need to find which row is associated with that submission. So we're going to add another Google Sheets event, and we're going to search. Can I do that? Maybe find. Look up spreadsheet row. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. So we're going to look up the spreadsheet row, and I'm going to make sure it's hooked up to my account. Continue. And then we have to kind of dig in here on some of these fields, but I'm setting up to my Google Drive, and we're going to use the OfferREI Zapier Demo V2, which is the spreadsheet that I was working on, worksheet number 1. And we're going to look up based on the full address. And the value that we're searching for is what we had in the form response. So I just have to look through the form response for the full address, put that there, and we can ignore the rest, I believe. Maybe I'll search from the last row. Oh, no, actually, no, that doesn't matter. Clear that. And then hit continue. Now, when I test this, it should tell me which row is the one that contains that address. And in this case, it's saying row 2, and that makes sense because row 1's for the headers. So now we know which row ID it is, the row number. We can actually update it now. So I'm going to add another step, and this is going to be another Google Sheets step. And the action here is going to be to update a spreadsheet row. So update spreadsheet row is the name of the action. Hit continue. Drive, my Google Drive, spreadsheet, same spreadsheet, worksheet, form response ones, and the row. Now this is where we need to tell it which one it is. And in this case, I'm going to switch this over to custom from static. So clicking these 3 dots and then clicking custom, now I can use some of the information that was in prior steps, including this lookup step. So if I click lookup spreadsheet row and then click on the row there, now I have everything I need. So that last thing to do is actually put the offer link in. So I'm going to click this plus yet again, and we're going to go into the action from creating a document, and we're just going to click the output, which is the download link. Now when I hit continue and hit test, all this is going to do is it's going to update that form for me. So now if I go back to my new spreadsheet, we'll see that the offer link, which was previously empty, now has the download link for the document. And so we can take a brief look at this. And here's the document in dark mode. And that's looking about right. So our Zap is done. All we have to do now is turn it on and give it a test. So I'm going to hit publish, and I'll call this, say V1, hit publish. And we are basically done. All we have to do is submit a new submission to the form and see if it works. So I'm just going to take that link and start a new submission. And this time, let's do a different address. And we've done the owner finance offer. Let's do the cash offer this time. Market value, let's say 500,000, and let's say the house needs 30,000 in repairs, and then hit submit. Now we should see the new submission in our Google Sheet, and I'm probably going to pause the video in a second, but after 20 or 30 seconds, the offer link will show up. I'll go ahead and pause, and then we'll open it together when it's done. All right, so after, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds, the offer link column here got filled, and let's go ahead and open it up and see what we got. And here we are. This is yet again the dark mode version of our offer, and so we can run with that. So that is the Zapier integration. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Shoot me an email at noah@offerrei.com, and I would be happy to help. Thanks.